absolutely agree with you. What are they going to do? And I want to turn our attention to the optics a little bit. Let me ask you, Jack Rice, a criminal defense attorney, you've done many, many trials. This is a civil case. But what do you think the optics are like for people to hear that Amber Heard is expected? It was 4 minutes, probably less now. But Johnny Depp has issued a statement that he will not be there for the reading of the verdict.
It's a mistake. Flatly, it's a mistake in this case because there are two verdicts going on here. There's the jury verdict and there's the verdict in the public opinion. And what this has to be about is about life and death. I mean, that was the argument during closings. This was about Johnny Depp getting his life back, and that everything else is secondary to that. And so the ability to put this before the public and say, I needed my truth heard. I need the jury of 7 to understand what has happened to me in this case, and I will hold my breath waiting for that answer. I will be wherever you want me to be, whenever you want me to be, and however you want me to be until you have decided what that answer is. So I don't like the fact that he's not showing up because it has nothing to do with what's going on inside the courtroom, but it has to do with everybody else watching.
All right, let me ask you this, Vinny, before I bring Josh in on this point. I said verdicts because we know it's 6 verdicts because there are 3 statements for each side, and the jury has to go through that special verdict form and answer each question and then get to damages or not, depending on if they answer yes or no. Tell us a little bit more of that and your opinion about, I know you touched on it earlier, but your opinion about they've deliberated 12 hours, yet they had to do all of that work.
Yeah, they did. And the statements that Johnny Depp has sued Amber Heard on are different. I look at each one of them a little bit differently, and there's different issues and obstacles that Johnny Depp has in proving each one of them. So I could see a mixture of those 3. There could be no defamation for one of them and defamation found in another statement. So I think you could get a mixed verdict for the statements Johnny Depp is alleging are defamatory. Amber Heard's statements, on the other hand, are very, very similar. And I think we've got live pictures from behind the courtroom right now.
Vinny, let me interrupt you because Amber Heard's arriving. Yep, we're just bringing that now. Here she is live. All right, Vinny, listen, she just, to me, acted the same way she's acted every time she's entered the courthouse, which is she's polite, she says hello, she says thank you, and then she walked into the courthouse. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was tough to make a read on it. The interesting part of this, remember, she sort of has been through this once before. The case in the UK, she was not a party, but she was a big part of that case. So she understands, I think, a little bit about this moment, learning the decision. But as she's coming in, they arrive in this truck all the time. It's an interesting way to arrive with a truck, but that's what they have. It looks a little tense. I would say, as I saw her face there, I saw a little bit of tension, and it always is. Judge Ashley, you know, all the attorneys with us know. Like, we get nervous as the lawyers, right? And still today, I feel it as a journalist covering it. I can't imagine what it's like to be the actual party to the litigation. I mean, it's got to be like a whole nother level, and you don't know what, you never know what this jury's going to say. You never, ever know what they're going to say.
And I always say, I believe in our jury system for civil and criminal, but to your point, we never know what a jury's going to do. Josh Schiffer, let me ask you this. Again, 12 hours of deliberating, 6 weeks of a trial, and 6 different verdicts that they've had to decide, potentially also damages. So do you think this is a short amount of time compared to what you might have expected?
Yeah, it tells me that they didn't spend a lot of time going through each thing to the utmost detail, because there's just too much for them to have done that in simply 12 hours. These can be incredibly complex issues, and these are jurors. These are regular people. They don't have an education prior to this case on a lot of these concepts. And that means they're going to struggle with it, and they're going to have to figure it out. So coming back so quickly means that they came to a pretty good accord and agreement on the big issues quickly. That telegraphs to me that they went to a place of safety, and the place of safety that I see is a holding for Amber, that she was telling the truth and got to print these statements.
All right, you're all going to stay with us. We have to squeeze in a break. You're not going to want to miss any of this. Only 18 minutes until this verdict comes in. Stay with us. This is Amber Heard arriving just moments ago.
One five.
The verdict is in 13 minutes away. This is a live look at the courtroom. You can see the attorneys are seated. We expect the announcement at 3 p.m. for the verdict 13 minutes from now. Still with us, Court TV's Vinnie Politan, lead anchor, and criminal defense attorneys Josh Schiffer and Jack Rice. Vinnie, I want to pick up on something you said right before the break, and that is about you can't even imagine how these parties must feel going into the courtroom waiting on a verdict. And the attorneys, I don't want to skip over the attorneys, because the reality is all of us have been in that side of waiting on a verdict. And as the attorney, I can tell you, I would feel like I almost just wanted to throw up because of that. What's going to happen? What's the verdict going to be? What is at stake for these attorneys, Vinnie? I mean, they're going to get paid regardless of the verdict because their clients pay them. But what is at stake for them?
No, you win this case, that is huge. You win, and when I say win this case, if you win a defamation case, if either side gets a jury to say, yes, your client was defamed, whichever set of attorneys wins that, game changer for their careers. I mean, they're already going to have great careers based upon what everyone saw inside that courtroom, but it's going to go to a whole different level. I see Amber Heard right now walking into the courtroom. There she is, greeted by Ben Rottenborn and her team. Wow, everyone in there. What a moment, what a moment. But for everyone, I mean, for Amber Heard as well. I mean, this will have a huge impact, I think, on the way she sees herself and others see her, depending upon what this jury says. Johnny Depp, I don't think it's as much of a at stake at this moment, honestly. I think he spoke his piece and said what he had to say and revealed and painted a different picture than we originally had before this trial started, which was Johnny Depp, wife beater. I think it's a little more nuanced than that, at a minimum. At a minimum, it's more nuanced. So I think for him, not as much at stake for the actual verdict, but for his attorneys, her attorneys, if they can actually win this thing, it's epic, it's legendary, game changer, and their successful careers will go to a whole new level.
Right, I agree, Vinnie. And one of the things I just have to comment, as you were saying that Amber Heard was entering the courtroom, that was being shown live, and Ben Rottenberg on her right, and then Rottenborn, and then we also have Elaine Bredehoft on her left. Did you notice she had a necklace on that she was kind of fingering with her hand as she sat down? I don't know what's on that. I'd never noticed her do that before, but she did that. She smiled at them. She's always been very appropriate in the courtroom. There was once that after she got off the stand, she went to the side room instead of sitting down. I would argue maybe that wasn't necessarily good, but she has sat there and watched and been fairly stoic as she's been watching. Josh, let me ask you, if you were one of these attorneys, how would you be feeling right now, 10 minutes away from this verdict?
You know, there's not really the perfect analogy because your whole life's been twisted up. This has been incredibly stressful and emotional. And remember, there's bad stress and there's good stress.
All right, hang on. We're going to we lost your audio. Let's go to Jack Rice. Jack, let me ask you that question. Well, we had just a little technical issue there. So, Jack, you're one of these attorneys. We're now almost 9 minutes away from the verdict. How are you feeling?
It's not about the money. It's not about my career. It's not about any of that. I have to tell you, and this has happened to me so many times, that I feel this viscerally. I feel like I am my client at this point. And in many ways, I feel like I'm the thing keeping my client from sinking. He's standing or she's standing on my shoulders, and I'm trying to not seep into the water. I'm trying to keep them dry. Sometimes it's not just them, it's their entire families. Yes, is that a lot? Yes, it is a lot. But the thing is you handle a case like this for months and months and months, sometimes years, and then you have to go in and do a trial. You know what's at stake. You know what this means. You know why it matters so much. And the thing is I want to feel that way, because if I feel that way personally, I have the ability to convey that to my jury. The problem is it comes with an enormous cost. So in other words, yes, as lawyers, we're lawyers. I know, and I know what people think sometimes, but we're also human beings. And so what will happen is we carry that with us. I've had those cases where I've been successful and I've been walking around like, look at me, I'm fantastic. I've had the cases where I've carried around evidence in the trunk of my car for 6 months because I didn't want to let go of a case that I thought I could have won that I didn't.
Right. So, Vinny, I just have to point out, that was Whitney Enriquez that we just saw in the front row. She had her hair up, a black shirt. That, of course, was one of the witnesses, but she is the sister of Amber Heard. She, too, was kind of fiddling with a necklace. And, Vinny, as I look at these live shots of the courtroom, our court TV cameras in that courtroom, you can see that the entire gallery appears to be full again. All of the attorneys appear to be now seated. Oh, now we get a better view of the gallery. It's full. All the attorneys are there. The stenographer, the court reporter is there seated. It looks, Vinny, like everyone's present. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, all except the 8 most important people, the judge and the 7 jurors. Once they take their seats, then it's going to happen. My guess is the judge will do exactly what she said she was going to do at the top of the hour for this verdict. The scene there, filling up inside the courtroom, obviously all the parties are there. I can tell you what's happening outside the courthouse. The crowd is building here as well. And I think while in the courtroom there are decorum orders, I'm wondering at the moment of the verdict what sort of reaction we'll get from the crowd that is outside here in Fairfax County, Virginia, because a crowd absolutely building outside the courthouse, the doors where we expect the attorneys to exit. Inside, no one's allowed to say or do anything, but outside, those rules don't apply. So it'll be fascinating to see the reaction of the folks here outside the courtroom as they all watch the verdict or listen to the verdict on their personal devices while the folks inside the courtroom get to hear it in person. Again, an amazing moment right now in Fairfax County, both outside the courthouse and inside the courtroom.
Right. And Vinny, I was going to say, all of these people outside that courthouse, they can have their courttv.com app up to watch the verdict live, because you're right, they're not in the courthouse, they're not in that courtroom listening, but they can find out the verdict live at the same time. Final thoughts, Jack, about as we watch.
Everybody's holding their breath. Nobody knows the answers. Every time I count the number of minutes, the number of hours, I think I might know the answer, but we never know. I think in the end, what I'm really hoping is I'm hoping that we can all embrace the fact that a jury came in, they took 6 weeks of their lives. They get nothing for this. They don't get those 6 weeks back. And they gave it their best shot. The idea that this is what we do as a system is an extraordinary thing. And the idea that rule of law matters. And when we watch this, we should celebrate, even if it goes one direction or the other, because it doesn't matter. This jury of 7 did the best that they could do. And that's all we could ever ask from them.
Yeah, you know, this jury of 7, our jury system, I was a judge, our jury system works. And I've never met a jury that does not take their job very seriously. 6 weeks of listening to testimony. One thing I can assure you, these jurors didn't take it lightly when they had to go back and make a decision, because they have been there listening all day, day in, day out, for 6 weeks before they reach a decision. We're waiting now for the judge to come in. Of course, as is typical, the judge would come on the bench before the jury would be brought into the courtroom. I would assume that's what typically would happen. We're still waiting. That's a live shot. You can see all of the attorneys for Johnny Depp's team, and Benny Politan, Chanley Painter have been with us live from Fairfax, Virginia, and they have shared with us that Johnny Depp did release a statement, his team did, that he is not going to be present in the courtroom. Of course, not long ago, a few minutes ago, we saw Amber Heard arrive, and we now know it was her sister who exited the truck with her prior to her. She then came out. I don't think she appeared that different from what she looks like every day that she's come to court. She said thank you and kind of nodded at the deputies as she walked into the courthouse. Vinny, 4 minutes.
Yeah, this is it. You know, a lot of times you don't know exactly when the verdict's going to be read, right? The jury comes back and then they just kind of gather and they do it. Here, we know, top of the hour, this is going to happen. So as each minute ticks by, the tension builds, the tension builds. My guess is wherever Johnny Depp is in the world right now, somewhere in Europe, likely the UK, he's watching, he's anticipating what's going to happen here as well, despite the fact that he's not here in person. His attorneys seemed a little upbeat inside the courtroom, and I'm wondering if they're thinking what I'm thinking, that a quicker verdict gives them the best chance at a win here. If this jury looked at the evidence, looked at the case, from the big picture. He said, she said, who do I believe, who don't I believe? But it can come up either way. It really can. It's very unpredictable. But I want to remind everyone about this jury, too. It's a relatively young jury. Young men, a young woman. It's you know, you got a couple that are older, like my age, not quite as old, you know, maybe a little bit older than Josh Schiffer, but probably closer to my age. So a little bit older, those jurors, but a good mixture, a good slice of Fairfax County, Virginia, which again, think about it, kind of a strange jurisdiction for really a Hollywood type of trial. Two celebrities, two actors, one legendary, the other just coming off of her Star is Born moment, but they're here in Fairfax County, Virginia. Seems random, but this is the jurisdiction that was chosen by Johnny Depp because of the Washington Post. So here we are, just moments away, Judge.
Moments away, 2 minutes, and freedom of speech at the heart of all of this. Freedom of speech, First Amendment right. We all have it to say what you want. That's our freedom of speech right here in the United States. But at the core of this trial, defamation, you can't lie about me. Because it's public figures, clear and convincing evidence, the jury has to have reached a unanimous verdict. The fact that they have a verdict means whatever it is, it's unanimous. Vinny, less than 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes. And Vinny, I have to say, the gallery is really not moving. Of course, somebody's coming in and sitting down, but you know, I've watched them during some of the breaks when the jury hasn't been in there or when the jury's leaving, that they kind of talk to each other and move around and get something out of their bag. But right now, if you look, the gallery is pretty still. It doesn't look like anyone's talking to each other. They too understand the significance of this moment, 1 minute away for a verdict.
Yeah, and they know how they have to act. The deputies here in Fairfax County, Virginia, incredible job taking on what has transpired here at the courthouse. But the jury, not the jury, the gallery, the folks who come in and out every day, they know what the rules are. Very strict. No one wants to miss the moment. Before they do anything, they kind of make sure, am I allowed to do this? So I expect a great decorum in that courtroom during the reading of this verdict. And what folks should listen for at home is isn't guilty, not guilty. You're not going to hear those words. It's going to be more about yes and no. And we expect the first claims to be dealt with are Johnny Depp's claims. So it's going to take a series of yeses for him to win this case. So wait to hear for a series of yeses. If you start hearing no's, that's bad news for Johnny Depp. But if he gets a bunch of yeses and gets enough of them,
all right,
then
here
we'll
we
move
go,
on
Vinny.
to
They're coming in. The judge is on the bench.
Here comes the judge.
All right. I understand we have a verdict. All right, are we ready for the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Just for everybody in the gallery, reminder that this is a court of law, and regardless of the verdict, I will not tolerate any outbursts whatsoever. Okay? Thank you. If I could have the attorneys approach for a moment.
Well, we were expecting the verdict, and you all just heard the judge say something that's been said frequently during this trial. Approach, please. I do have Michael Ayala joining us, anchor here on Court TV, as well as our lead anchor, Vinny Politan, in Virginia. Michael, what's the first thing you said? Because you said exactly what I was thinking when she said attorney's approach.
I said, that's not good. And I don't know who it's not good for, but generally, if she's calling them up there, there's some anomaly, something there that she doesn't like, or something that doesn't make sense according to what they were, the procedures that they wanted to follow. So she's trying to deal with them and see how they should continue.
Well, let's see.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what I need you to do, I need to give the forms back to you. When you find for a defamatory statement, one or more, you need to fill out the compensatory damages. It has to be at least $1 for compensatory damages and up to whatever you feel the damages should be. And for punitive damages, you can put a 0 there, or you can fill out that as well, but I need those lines filled out, okay? All right, so if I can have you retire back to the deliberation room and do that for me, okay? All right, so we'll be in recess till we hear back from them. Don't go too far, okay? Right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right.
All right, here is what we've been waiting for, and now pins and needles. We're all still on pins and needles because the judge took a look at the special verdict forms. Remember, there are a total of 6 verdicts, 3 for each statement, 3 for each side, 6 verdicts, and immediately said, can you please approach? That is something we've heard throughout this trial, either because the attorneys requested or the judge requested. Vinny, what was your first thought when that happened?
Somebody won. Somebody won this trial. Somebody has been found to have defamed the other. We don't know who it is. What I would look at, if we had a shot of the judge as she was going through the form, what page is she on? What page was she on? Because if it's the first page, Johnny Depp wins. If it's like the 4th page, Amber Heard won. Somebody won. They just didn't fill out how much money to award. This is enormous. That's what I heard.
Approach, was it at the very... She said, just for everyone now joining us, the judge said to the jury after speaking to the attorneys, when you find there's 1 or more defamatory statements, you must fill out damages, compensatory punitive damages, either a 0, whatever, but you've got to fill that out. So, Michael, I would agree completely with Vinny, and that is someone did win. At least one of these verdicts found defamation.
Yeah, and actually, Vinny, it's funny because you said it depends on what page she was on. I was trying to discern if she was turning pages or not. One would imagine that if Johnny was bringing the original case, his verdict forms would be read first. So if she was on the top, you would think then that he was the one, right? That it's his, the statements made against him, so he would have won. If she's flipping pages, having to go to the 3rd or 4th page, so to speak, then it would be Amber's case she'd be talking about. I could not discern what was happening, so I'm not sure, but I agree 100%. Somebody absolutely won this case. And let me just say this. You know, I agree with the guests, Josh and Jack, that this jury went at this viscerally. What did they believe, right? And I think the easiest thing to believe in this case is that they both abused each other. If they both abused each other, that was the visceral response I got. If that's the case, if you go through the questions, she wins, not Johnny. But again, we don't know. That's just kind of sitting out there until they get back in the courtroom.
And they don't have to say, the jury doesn't have to say which little pieces they believe, they didn't believe. We get their verdict. That's all we get. It's not as if they're going to be asked questions or give us more specifics about your thinking. Of course, after, if they choose to speak to media, they can do that. But from this, we will know the verdicts, and that's it. Can you imagine, Vinny, what do you think all these people, all of the people in the gallery, the viewers, the attorneys, the parties, Johnny Depp in the UK watching this to see what the verdict is or waiting to see on his phone from his attorneys, and they get ready, and we see the jury gets in, and the judge takes the bench, and, oh, wait a minute, you didn't fill out all the forms, so we need you to go back and now make this other decision. And frankly, Vinny, they could make that decision in 5 minutes. It could take them 5 more hours.
It could. The other thing I want to know is, do the lawyers know yet who won this trial? Did the lawyers see the verdict form? They were up at the sidebar. I could not tell because they're huddled around there. We're not supposed to see what's happening at the sidebar, but I'm wondering if each set of lawyers now know we won the liability. That would be unreal at this moment. And now the jury's got to figure out, well, what are the damages? Punitive damages, that's capped because of tort liability down here, but the compensatory damages as well. I mean, we're talking about right now potential $100 million at stake because somebody won this trial. I can't believe it. Michael, we know, Judge, you know how difficult it is in the United States of America as a public figure to win a defamation case. And somebody won. To me, it's the most shocking of all verdicts here that somebody won. Not the most. The most, though, would be if they come back with 50 million or 100 million. Then I'm hitting the ground here. I'm going to be on the ground. You have to fly to Virginia and pick me up because, wow, what a moment. This is unbelievable.
What a moment. I can't imagine either that there's going to be a 50 million or 100 million award. But the point is, we don't know yet because the jury hasn't decided that yet. That's why they have to go back. So just for all viewers to know, they have to go back and continue deliberation. They're back in a room with no one else having any access for them to again deliberate about how much money or if they're going to award any money. Michael, how long do you think that might take, knowing somebody won, but they've got to decide the amounts of money?
I think that might take some time. I thought there was definite arguments as to how much money each side proved they were hurt by the statements of the other. I think Amber's didn't go nearly as well as Johnny Depp's went. I thought Johnny Depp's went very well. I thought they eviscerated her expert that she brought in to talk about how much she lost. So I think she's in trouble there. Although there is the L'Oreal contract, which I think can be directly related to these statements or the fact that it was a hoax if she won. So I think that might be in play. But here's what I do know for a fact. The reason why we're all surprised that someone won a defamation case is because they had to prove by clear and convincing evidence that it was done with either a reckless disregard for the truth or with malice. I think that guarantees, since we know somebody won, that guarantees the punitive damages. And remember, it's controlled by statute in Virginia, so it's only $375,000. Not a lot of money in the context of a $50 million and $100 million lawsuit. So I think that's a sure thing. I think there will be punitive damages, and I think it will be the statutory limit.
And punitive damages, we know it's not only to punish the party.
Behind me. We've got some noise behind me. I don't know what's happening. We have a camera on them, I think, that we could take. We can see what's happening out there. I don't know if it was a member of the team.
Let's see, Vinny, we can see now. All right, so we can see there in the back with all the people. So one of the things I want to say about punitive damages is we know those are to punish, but also to send a message. And so if a jury determines they're going to award those, I think it's also a message to individuals when they choose to speak to publish an op-ed, to put information out there that's not truthful. In a case like this, well, guess what? You can be found responsible and you can be out of pocket money. And so that's one of the goals if punitive damages are awarded. They don't need to be. Michael Ayala, I see you motioning because you've got something good. Jump in, please, sir.
I do. When it comes to the punitive damages, it's interesting because the message that was sent by Ben Rottenborn in his closing was that your verdict will send a message to domestic violence victims. Let's say she loses. I think it also sends a message, right? It kind of backfired on him because the message they would be sending is, and we've talked about it a lot during this trial, this whole cancel culture thing and the idea that the Me Too movement may have rushed to judgment on a lot of people's careers, et cetera, before due process. Well, they could be saying to domestic violence victims. If you are going to come forward and publicly say that you were a victim, you better be telling the truth. So that's, of course, if she loses and punitive damages are awarded for Johnny, they could be sending that message to domestic violence victims.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you brought it back around, Michael, to the whole reason that this lawsuit was brought in the first place. And I think all of us could admit at best, and I am saying at best, this was a very dysfunctional relationship with all types of issues, including substance abuse, including alcohol use, and the domestic violence aspect. You know, we can't forget that's the heart of this case. That is what all of this is about. And there have been so many viewers responding, Vinny, and if you look at social media, it's all over it. I'm a victim. I was a victim. And guess what? Here's what I think, and I so value that the public has been willing to come out in a very real way and say, as a survivor, as a victim, this is what I can tell you. And I think at the end of the day, that's a positive part of all of this.
Absolutely, because one side or the other is the victim of abuse, or potentially both. And that's become a part of the conversation out of this case. And you've seen a little growth in the hashtag #MenToo, because looking at Johnny Depp as a man who is potentially the victim of abuse, as he testified to inside that courtroom under oath. So there's a lot that is going to come out of this trial and come out of this verdict. You know, there's the issue of defamation, what you can and can't say. False accusations, either falsely accusing someone of lying or falsely accusing someone of abusing you. Both very serious, extremely serious. We have the freedom of speech in this country, but we don't have the freedom to defame others and try to take them down with malice. So that's another thing that we take away from this. The other thing is the way the public has reacted to this. And this, to me, will be the most interesting part of this, because there are Johnny Depp fans, okay? Let's put them aside. There are Amber Heard supporters, not quite as many, but put them aside. Those people in the middle who all of a sudden became intrigued by what our cameras inside that courtroom were showing to the world. All of them formed an opinion about what they were seeing and what they were hearing inside that courtroom. And for them to see our system play out and what it means, the way they saw it, which overwhelmingly, I think we have to admit, overwhelmingly pro-Johnny Depp. Not the Johnny Depp fans, what about the people in the middle? They still break overwhelmingly for Johnny Depp. Are they in sync with the 7 people in the jury box? And depending upon what they say, if they are in sync, I think it tells us that, hey, that visceral reaction that people were having watching the trial is the same reaction that jury had inside the courtroom. But if this verdict comes back and it's Amber Heard winning a defamation case against Johnny Depp, then there's the disconnect between the courtroom and the court of public opinion. Again, not the Johnny Depp fans, the people who just started watching this trial and came to their own conclusion based upon what they saw and heard. So to me, that's the fascinating part, because I've seen that before. I'm not going to say her name, Michael.
And Vinny,
it was that woman down in Orange County, Florida.
And let me just say, I think there's movement in live court. Let me see if we have cameras in the courtroom to see what's happening. You do see, this is live. You see the attorney still seated at both desks. We see people coming in and sitting down. And, you know, I just have to...
Let me ask you, Ashley.
Yeah.
Can I ask you one thing, Ashley? Because
Sure.
you can see a lot better than I can.
Sure.
Is there any way to determine the mood of the attorneys on either side? Because there's a slight chance, the judge may not have allowed them to see it, that they saw the verdict form, so
Yeah.
they would know if they won or lost. Is there any change or any stark difference that you're seeing? Because I can't quite tell from my monitor.
That's a great question. I'm going to say, you know, initially my gut reaction to you is no, Vinny. You see Amber Heard taking a sip out of a bottle. You see water, whatever, clearly. But then you see her attorneys both seated and waiting. And the same for Johnny Depp's. But I have to say, upon reflection as I'm watching, boy, Michael, what do you think? Johnny Depp's team are very stoic. They do. Vinny, they do. What do you think, Michael?
I would think the posture of those men, and again, you know, I hate to do this because we're reading tea leaves, right? But if you're asking me, the posture of Ben Chew and his associate there does not seem victorious to me in any way. It doesn't say victorious. Now, what I'm seeing on the other side is a lot more chatter. I see Amber Heard's back straight. I see her sitting there in a way that suggests victory. So just viscerally looking at the scene, that's what I'm reading.
And Benjamin Chew, you just made a really good point. His associate, now he's kind of smiling, but he kind of had his fingers at the bridge of his nose leaning down a little. And gosh, Vinny, right when you asked that question, I did notice he was sitting very, very straight with no good expression on his face. So maybe they saw it. Now, I'm going to say this, as a former judge, I would have been really careful, quite frankly, to make sure they didn't know which verdict form I was talking about, because that's not appropriate for me, I would think, on the bench. And I would make certain they simply knew there was an issue, no damages filled out, but that they didn't know who won. But, and this judge has, oh, they're all standing. This judge has been very good. Let's listen.
All right. Shall we try this again? All right. Let's do that. All right. We're ready for the jury. All right, Mr. Foreperson, is this the verdict of the jury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, is it unanimous?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Jamie?
In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Mr. Depp's claim against Ms. Heard. 1. As to the statement appearing in the online op-ed entitled, "Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change." In the Washington Post online edition, quote, "I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change," end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 2, as to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled "A Transformative Moment for Women" in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, "Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change," in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3, as to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled "A Transformative Moment for Women" in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. In the Washington Post online edition. Quote, I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse. End quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of this statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $10 million. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $5 million. In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Ms. Heard's claim against Mr. Depp. 1. As to this statement appearing in the April 8, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, Amber Heard and her friends in the media use fake sexual violence allegations as both a sword and shield, depending on their needs. They have selected some of her sexual violence hoax facts as the sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. 2. As to this statement appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, quite simply, this was an ambush, a hoax. They set Mr. Depp up by calling the cops, but the first attempt did not do the trick. The officers came to the penthouses, thoroughly searched and interviewed, and left after seeing no damage to face or property. So Amber and her friends spilled a little wine and roughed the place up, got their story straight under the direction of a lawyer and publicist, and then placed a second call to 911, end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Ms. Heard proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, Mr. Waldman, while acting as an agent for Mr. Depp, made or published the statement? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Ms. Heard. Answer, yes. Question, the statement was seen by someone other than Ms. Heard. Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false. Answer, yes. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven by clear and convincing evidence that the statement by Mr. Waldman was made with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to this statement appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, "We've reached the beginning of the end of Ms. Heard's abuse hoax against Johnny Depp," end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $2 million. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $0.
All right. Does either side wish to have the jury polled?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Jamie?
Members of the jury, if this is your verdict, please answer yes. If this is not your verdict, please answer no. Juror number 6. Yes. Juror number 10. Yes. Juror number 15.
Yes.
Juror number 16.
Yes.
Juror number 22.
Yes.
Juror number 27.
Yes.
Juror number 29.
Yes.
All right. I do find that the jury's verdict is unanimous. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes your service in this case. I want to thank you again for your dedication and your hard work during this trial. And I know I speak for everybody here when I tell you that we appreciate your sacrifices and your time and your public service in this matter, okay? So I'm going to have you go back to the jury deliberation room for one more time, and then we'll release you from there, okay? All right, thank you.
Jury is leaving the courtroom. Wow is all I can say. Wow, wow, wow. Here's what just happened. You heard it directly from the reading of the verdict. Amber Heard lost.
In accordance with law, I will amend the punitive damages award to the statutory cap of $350,000 on Mr. Depp's award, okay? I will set this down for entry of an order, and can we do it on June 24th at 10 a.m. if that's available? All right,
Yes,
Mr. Chu, if you could prepare that order and then circulate it to Ms. Brederhoff, and we can have all the objections noted on it. All right?
We'll do that, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
All right, and if I get it before that date, I'll take it off the docket, okay? All right, again, thank you to all the attorneys for your professionalism, and you're welcome to come to my courtroom anytime. Well, give me a few weeks, but then you can come anytime, okay? All right, court is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
So Amber Heard lost in the lawsuit by Johnny Depp against Amber Heard. All 3 statements, 3 verdicts in Johnny Depp's favor. All 7 questions answered yes. And as a result of all 3 of those verdicts in favor of Johnny Depp against Amber Heard, compensatory damages awarded of $10 million, punitive awarded of $5 million, but statutorily the judge had to decrease that to $350,000. That's what's allowed in Virginia. Look at the Depp team. Now, let me say this. I have criticized so many hugs during the course of the trial. Now that the trial is over, the courtroom has cleared of the jury. This I understand. They have secured a huge win for Johnny Depp. Now, Amber Heard did win in one of the 3 statements by her against Johnny Depp in her lawsuit. She did win one of those. The jury found for one of the statements by Mr. Waldman for Johnny Depp on behalf of Johnny Depp that it was defamation. So she won one of the 3 claims against Johnny Depp, awarded by this jury $2 million compensatory, 0 punitive. So she did win in that part of the countersuit, but what a huge win. We are going to have Vinnie Politan, who is our lead anchor, there live in Fairfax, Virginia, with a reaction. Here we see them leaving the courtroom. I don't know, Vinnie, if you're still with me yet, but Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Excellent. Tell me,
I'm here.
first of all,
nowhere, Judge. Going nowhere.
Woo, what's your
They picked me up off the
reaction?
ground. They picked me up off the ground, put me back in my seat. This is unbelievable. First of all, both sides getting a finding of liability for defamation is unreal to begin with, but the amounts here. So now at the end of the day, I'm doing the quick math. It looks like Amber Heard owes Johnny Depp $8.35 million. That's more than he paid in the divorce, by the way. So after the divorce, he's up more than $1 million after separating from Amber Heard. This is a game changer on so many different levels. It's not just about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. It's about anyone who is falsely accused of abusing someone. You now have a path to redemption. That path to redemption is in a courthouse where you go in and say, guess what? You can't accuse me of something that I didn't do. I'm going to bring you in front of a jury. I'm going to tell my story and let the jury tell the world what really happened. So this is a victory for Johnny Depp, a huge victory, but it's a victory for any man or any woman who has been falsely accused of domestic abuse. Big message sent, game changer in the legal world.
Absolutely, Vinny, and let's put it specifically for her. That's what this jury found, that Amber Heard lied in a publication. She published the statements, lied about abuse at the hands of Johnny Depp, that it was with malice or reckless disregard. And as a result, she was punished. She has been ordered to pay $10 million to him, and again, $5 million punitive. That is going to be adjusted to $350. Michael Ayala, your reaction to these verdicts?
Well, there's no reckless disregard, because you either believed her story or you didn't. It wasn't a misunderstanding. They didn't believe her story. They believe she put these stories out there with malice. She wanted to hurt Johnny Depp, so I take that away. The other part I take away from is they also sent a little bit of a message to the attorney for Johnny Depp. And I don't know how closely they connected the two of them based on the verdict, and we can discuss that. But basically, the only statement that he made that they awarded Amber Heard was when he went too far in explaining how they went about and created the hoax. He basically was saying that they went in afterwards, they messed up the place, spilled some wine, called the cops again. They felt that was a defamatory statement, telling him, hey, you went too far. They didn't feel like the comment that it was a hoax went too far, but to claim that they went that far. So I found that interesting in giving her a little bit of a win and awarding her ultimately $2 million, which I kind of felt would be the case, because I think there was a nexus between what went on here and her loss of that L'Oreal contract. That might be where they got that money from, but it still doesn't make 100% sense to me, this verdict. Ultimately, if you believe she lied, then all the stuff that we saw happening at the penthouse would have had to have happened somehow. How did it happen? You would have to believe that maybe they set it up. But again, they think he went too far with that statement. I'd love to get your thoughts, Ashley.
Yeah, I have some thoughts on that. First, I just want to point out, this was Amber. We're showing you again her face, and I have to say, I commented off air as soon as they were showing her face before the verdict and all the yeses were read for Johnny Depp's case. She just, to me, looked like she was about to break down, to cry. I don't know if she suspected that she was going to lose. I don't know if she just felt sick to her stomach at having to sit there to hear what the outcome was. But Michael, I have to comment and appreciate that you broke it down in terms of the one verdict Amber Heard prevailed on against Johnny Depp. And it is interesting because, to your point, it is saying we don't believe anything she said. We believe that she lied outright, lied with malice, but yet she wins on this one statement because it went too far. And the reality is, did it go too far? We don't really know. But to your point, we don't know what happened. And so it's an interesting way to split the baby in the middle in some regards. And Vinny, you've talked a lot about the effect of this on the middle, and that you have the Depp supporters and you have the Amber Heard supporters. What was the crowd like behind you? Where do you think viewers, crowd, court of public opinion is coming down on this now?
Oh, it was all Johnny outside the courthouse. I mean, as each verdict, they're getting the verdict, right? They're on their devices. Everyone's getting a different way. And one person kind of took the lead, I think, in making the announcements. And then the chants of Johnny, Johnny, Johnny. People were jubilant, jumping up and down. Then I heard someone scream, $10 million. And again, another explosion from the crowd behind us, clearly supporting Johnny Depp and now waiting for the heroes to come out, right? The heroes for Johnny Depp. Ben Chu, Camille Vasquez, and the rest of his team to come out and address the media. I expect they're going to make a statement. There's no way you don't take a victory lap after winning the trial of this century. So we're waiting for that moment to happen, obviously, here in front of the courthouse. But the fact that that she wins 1, he wins 3, there's only one way to calculate the winner and the loser here. It's math. I was pretty good at math back in the day, and if you've got to pay the other person $8.35 million, you lost. So make no mistake, Amber Heard lost this trial. Johnny Depp won. He's got the victory lap. He's the one who can talk about what really happened. He's the one now who can talk about trying to rebuild his name, his reputation, and that incredible acting career.
And he's already performing in the UK music, of course, but he's been doing that, and that's where he had published and sent out a list of the different events he already had planned. So he's on his way to that, I would argue. All right, we're expecting a press conference. We are going to take the opportunity so that you don't miss anything to take a short commercial break. We'll be right back with any press conferences here on Court TV, your front row seat to justice.